I am live. Sawubona to you. I greet you in the spirit of oneness, in the spirit of Sawubona, the Zulu, the Isi, Zulu greeting that reminds us that we are all one. We are all one. We are all connected and we are all interconnected, and there's nothing that we can do to separate ourselves one from another, no matter how hard we try, no matter how we try to rewrite history, whitewash history, no matter how we try to legislate today, no matter how we try to erase legislation of yesterday, no matter what we do, there's no way that we can erase the fact that we are one. And because we are one, the invitation is extended to you to invite me into your space. The whole of who I am, everything that I bring with me, all of what I carry in my spirit, in my soul, in my DNA, in my genetics, in my ancestry, in my heritage, all of that I bring to this space. And you receive all of me. And the invitation is also yours to extend. Will I receive all of you? And I say, yay, Bo Salbona. Yes to the invitation. I agree. I accept. I embrace all of who you are. Now let's talk about what that looks like. Let's talk about how we live that out. Let's talk about how we walk in the newness, in the fulfillment of the oneness that we share as humans. That's what this conversation is about, at the intersection of faith and social justice. How does our faith us? How does our faith guide us? How does our faith lead us? And in many instances, how does our faith hinder us? How does our faith make us out to be hypocrites and liars? Like, what is it our faith that we take a closer look at on this day? And that's what we invite you to do right here. A good fight, yes, made possible by Just Talk Consulting. Just Talk Consulting is my own consulting firm, my own business, where we absolutely positively believe that the way forward, the way toward the progress, the way toward realizing and manifesting um, collective liberation is through conversation. We have to be able to have conversation that is intentional, that is strategic, that is, and it is transparent and vulnerable. Those are the kinds of conversations that allow us to take the next step, that allow us to move forward, that allow us to affect change, that allow us to dismantle systems. These are the conversations that we must have if we are going to have a world, live in a world that is more just, more equitable, more peaceful, and more inclusive. We've got to learn how to live and love differently if we expect that happen. And so Just Talk come for us conversation. So if you are joining us in this conversation for the first time, I just want to say welcome. You are welcome in this space to bring the whole of who you are. And there are ways that you can engage. One of the ways that you can engage is to see yourself reflected, to find yourself located in the stories that are shared, particularly in the Bible. Who are you in this story? Are you the prophet? Are you the one who is discriminated against? Are you the oppressed? Are you the oppressor? Are you Jesus? Like, find yourself in the story. That is quite beneficial as a way to engage in the conversation. Another way that you can engage is to look through a window. So somebody else's story is centered. You don't know anything about it. You have not had the experience, and you may not ever have the experience, but still, you are here. You are present for it. I'm here for it. And you are able to receive it as the gift that it is without any obligation at all. Nobody's going to interrogate you. You don't have to write an op-ed. You don't have to respond in any way. You don't have to answer any questions. All you have to do is receive the story. Well, no, I guess you do have something to do. Receive the story, yes, but also you give yourself over to it. So allow it to penetrate your spirit so that as you move from this place, it is still doing a work in you, and you are trusting the power of the Holy Spirit to reveal what that work is is when the time comes. It may be tomorrow, maybe next week, it may be next month, it may be next year, it may be 15 years from now. I am just now realizing that I am living into moments that fruit is blossoming in my life from seeds that were planted when I was in seminary in 1999. So, yes, whenever it manifests, you are ready for it because you give yourself over to the experience. A third way that you can engage is to comment right here. Yes, go ahead and say something, type something in, and I'll show it. I'll put it on the screen for us all to see whatever your comment is, your question, your challenge, your pushback. Oh, how that makes me think about Arve. Y'all remember Arve? My dear, dear friend from childhood who is still with us, absolutely still with us, just in a different form. But she has transitioned to a new way of being. I wonder what she's doing right now. What is you doing? Remember, I just want a moment to pause and think about her. Yeah, y'all. I remember my friend. Another way that you can engage in the good fight, and that is to walk through a door. So beyond this moment, when you're talking to your friends, when I am not in the space, not even virtually, not physically in the space, but you are talking to your friends and you are bringing up this conversation, when you are typing on your Facebook post and you are bringing up this conversation, when you are in Bible study at your church, when you are in Sunday school at your church, when you are listening to the sermon at your church, you are bringing up this conversation. So you are walking through a door. It is extending beyond this moment, your thoughts and your feelings and your concerns. That's another way that you can engage. So for all the ways that you are able to engage, whatever one fits you, or one you need to create, say this is the way that I engage. That is fine with me. I'm just so grateful for your presence. I'm so grateful that you thought enough about the good fight of this hour, that we are together and getting myself in the frame. That's all. So want to uh, just for those of you who are following Mommy with her heart in particular, heart failed, and she needs to have a valve replaced in her aorta, and it's the surgery that she needs is called the TAVR. It's a trans aortic valve replacement, TAVR, TAVR, and they want to go through her groin, and they want to carry a valve up through her groin into her heart and just replace it. But I don't think it should be called a replacement, because replacement to me, I'm gonna take this one out, I'll give you another one. But that's not what's happening. The valve that's already there, they're simply going to open it up, like balloon it so that it opens up, and then they're going to drop the other valve inside of it. So the old valve will still be there, but kind of holding the new valve. And it is the new valve that would do the work to transport the oxygen that she needs to the rest of her body so that she can function better during her doing her daily activities. Right now, it is a chore for her to walk from the bedroom to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the back room, from the door to theirs, and then from the stairs. And she's having to stop at every single moment that she can find, every single space that she can find, to just kind of catch her breath, to revive herself. And I cannot wait to see the transition, the difference between the before and the after. So the surgery has been scheduled for next Tuesday. Ooh, 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 I'm really excited about it. So the surgery is next Tuesday. We have to be in the place at 5:30 in the morning. Now, y'all know I am not a morning person, but I bet you I'm gonna have that honey pot, that sugar pie honey pot. I bet you I'm gonna have it there at 5:30 in the morning so that we can go ahead and get started. The surgery begins at 7 o'clock. And she is, any man be in Christ, be a new, any woman have a TAVR procedure. She's a new creature. So, hey, hallelujah. Thank you. You know how you get your head, those of us who shout the head. So thank you for your continued prayers. Thank you for your journey. Thank you for reaching out and asking me about her. Thank you for checking in on her. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for all that you are doing to love on her, to let her know that she is not alone, that there is an entire community that is concerned about her well-being. It puts a smile on her face and joy in her soul. And I am grateful for you. So thank you for that. And tonight, she may not look, leave her alone. She tired. Leave her alone. She tired. Okay, so let's talk about tonight. Sunday at church was like a high time. Honestly, I cannot remember another time that I've been in church where I felt the spirit as high as it was on Sunday. On Sunday, even though this is a white church, and even though this is an LGBTQ led church, it it, it felt like it was one of those moments for me as a black. I'm like, wait a minute, so there were testimonials. There was interaction between the preacher and the congregation during the sermon. There were songs that seemed to be intent, like the spirit said, no, choose this, choose this, choose this. And so it was just good. It was great. It was high and lifted up. And I was amazed to be in the presence. I was glad to be in the number. One more time, one more time. Y'all sing this song. One more time. God's allowed us to come together one more time. Yeah, one more time with the words. I think it's okay. And so during the testimonial, there was this one young man who told a story, and when they were sick and in need of service, and he was a brand new dad all by himself to figure this thing out. And there was somebody who knocked on the door. Somebody who knocked on the door looking like Florence Nightingale, had the white outfit on, had the white hat on, the nursing outfit, and helped him, gave his children a bath, took care of them when they were in need, and then left. And from that day to this one, he has no idea who it is. And so he's telling this story, and our hearts are being warmed by it. And at the end, he says, he quotes this scripture that I am using today for our conversation, our pericope, the part of the Bible that I have selected for this conversation. Let me put this on this side because it's bothering me. Selected for this conversation coming from Hebrews 10, verses 1-4. And he talks about this. He talks about she was an angel. That this woman who showed up at his doorstep that nobody knows about, nobody can point him to, he'll never ever know at this point, he doesn't believe, but no doubt about it, he felt that he was in the presence of an angel. So he quotes this scripture from Hebrews about how we enter to angels unaware. And so then a lot of other people like were thinking about it of an angel. Like they left us with the turning point, coming up with our own personal stories that maybe we would share, maybe we wouldn't in that space. But I started thinking about that, angels unaware. And the first thing I thought about was like, how do you even define angels? Like biblically speaking, who are the angels? Because the way I remember my own upbringing, my own childhood in the Baptist church, was that, and I don't know, did I learn this in the Baptist church? I probably didn't even learn it in the Baptist church. I probably did not learn it until I started branching off on my own and going to churches that were non-denominational. I started out going to churches that were non-denominational. No, I started out going to churches that were AME Zion, African Methodist Episcopal Zion, so rooted in the African tradition, but also pulled away from the African Methodist tradition so that we could focus more on our Episcopal Zion. There is call to your Blackness, call to your ancestry, this call to be rooted and grounded in who you are as melanated people, even amongst your Methodist brethren. So that's how I started. I left the AME. I mean, I left the Baptist church and kind of went to AME Zion. And so I really, let me just say, I don't know. I don't know where I learned about angels. It may have been when I got to seminary. No, we ain't talking about no angels in seminary. We did not. I know we didn't. Nope. So I don't know where I was, but the only angels that I really have come to know in the Bible are two of them, Michael and Gabriel, and they are announcing news or they are bringing bad news, right? And so those are the only two. And so when he began to talk about, when the parishioner in the church, the congregant at the church on Sunday began to talk about these angels that we are unaware of, I just started wondering, like, who are you talking about? Like, where do we get that from? And so that made me think about this book that I am reading right now. Oh my goodness, Phyllis Brown. I don't know if y'all know Phyllis Brown, because I don't know where you are listening from, right? Because this is a global streaming platform, right? So you could be listening from anywhere in the world. So you may or may not have had the privilege of meeting Phyllis Brown, who is the sister of Minnie Jean Brown Trickey, who is one of the Little Rock Nine, one of those nine students who integrated the public school system here in Little Rock, Arkansas at Central High School, which is just down the way. We don't live very far from it at all, but we're just in conversation all the time. But she's always like saying, you should read this, you should tell your people to read this, tell your people to read that. And so she's this literary angel, if I could use that word, this one who shows up on the scene to drop something that you need in that moment that will rest. She introduced me to this book, and I've been reading it. I'm not finished yet, but it's over the hump. I think that every book has, but there are some books where I don't make it to the hump. And what I is not put it down. You have to keep reading. Before you get to the hump, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna stop right here because I got to do something else. I got to work. I got to blah blah blah. It's not a big deal. I'll come back to it later. But once you hit that hump, it's like, no. I want to rearrange my life so that I can read. Instead of rearranging my reading so I can do life, I got to rearrange my life so that I can read, because it has gone over that hump. And so I've made it to that place in the book where I'm over that hump, where I really, really, really want to know what's going to happen next. And so I haven't finished, but I know it's not going to take me too much longer. And so here's the book and the author. I want to show it to you right here. Yeah, so this is Dr. Christina Cleveland, and this is the book, God is a Black Woman, and that's what I'm reading. And Dr. Christina Cleveland is on this pilgrimage in France to see the Black Madonnas. There are several of them, and she wants to see as many as she can, and they all have different names, and they are all serving different purposes in her life. And so I'm reading this book. So I'm going to church and I'm reading this book. Like, all of this is simultaneous. I just love the way life communicates with each other. Like, all of the different aspects of all of the facets of your life, all of the different spaces that you are navigating, they sometimes collide in this very rich and powerful and beautiful way. And that's what's happening with the conversation at the church on Sunday and with me reading this book at the same time. And so in this book, what God is a Black Woman, what Dr. Christina Cleveland is calling us to do is think about a faith that is more embodied, right? And I don't know if they're in conversation with each other, but there is also an author, a Black woman author named co-author Riley, who has written a book called This Here Flesh. And she talks about the embodiment of God. Like, what does it mean to have God? Like, what does it mean to space of feeling, from a space of sensing, from a space of knowing, rather than a space of, oh, God is like up in the sky, very hot, very far away, untouchable, unknowable, unseeable, unthinkable. Like, it's just this entity that exists somewhere beyond our bodies. So that's one way of knowing. And many of us who practice Christianity, that's the way that we have come to know God, that God is in heaven. Heaven is far far away. And the only way that you are going to come to know God is when you die. When you die, then you will be present with God. And so then you will be able to feel and know and sense. But these two authors are talking about the power of knowing God in your body even now. So while you are yet alive, while the blood still runs warm in your veins, here you are being able to experience you that respects you and that adds dignity to your life. And so I'm reading this book, God is a Black Woman, talking about the embodiment of God. I want to worship a God that knows my experience. I am Black, I am woman, I am American, that knows my experience, that understands what it feels like to be discriminated against, understands what it feels, God, that is so high and lifted up that you cannot feel my anguish. You cannot feel my isolation. You cannot feel my degradation. You cannot feel my oppression. I need you to be right here to understand who I am so that we can relate, so that I can see myself, I can locate in you, and therefore honor the relationship that we have as divine to divine, as human to human, as lived experience to lived experience. And so she's calling us forth to that space. And so when I began to think about this parishioner, one of my fellow churchgoers, having this conversation about Hebrews 13, 1 through 4, I was like, who are we talking about? Who are these angels? And so that's the first thing that I want to do for us tonight. I want to go ahead and read this scripture. It is found in Hebrews. What's the joke about Hebrews? Something about coffee. I can't remember it, but there used to be this joke that I knew that I could recite about coffee and Hebrews. I don't know, but anyway. Oh, Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 4. I want to go ahead and read it to you. It's in the New International. There's no place today. I didn't want to read from the Message because sometimes I think that James Patterson, even though I am super excited about James Patterson, even though I'm thinking about James Patterson, the writer. Do y'all know James Patterson, the writer about murder and mystery? As a matter of fact, I've got an audiobook for my mom. He wrote the Alex Cross series that centers Morgan Freeman as the actor. For those of you who have seen the picture, the motion picture that accompanies the book. But anyway, that's James Patterson. I'm talking about James Peterson, who wrote this book, who put the Bible in contemporary language. And sometimes he has to spend so much time making it contemporary that I kind of feel like we get lost. Like we get lost in the shuffle. Other times I'm like, yes, for this contemporary language. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is too much. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. And so it just happened. The Message just happened to be right beside the New International Version. And I just chose the New International Version over the Message. I did not look for other translations that I could choose. The New International Version. So this is the New International Version, and it is Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 4. And I'm going to do like we always do. I'm going to go along with me, or you can close your eyes, or you can look off into another space and center yourself. Whatever it is that you do that best helps you, just let the words wash over you. Just kind of let them fall. And they can fall right here on your shoulders. They do not have to go any further. I'm not asking you to allow them to penetrate your spirit. I'm not asking you to allow them to get into your soul. I'm not asking you to think too deeply about them right now. I just want you to hear them, let them fall right here. And then as we go through this conversation, and then as you walk through a door with them, as you begin to think about them beyond this moment, you can decide what to do with them, whether you want to receive them, whether you want to reject them, whether you want to brush them off and sweep them up and put them in the trash. Like all of that is yours. You have the absolute freedom. And I hope that you find great pleasure in knowing that you have that freedom to choose how to interact with the word, or to choose how not to interact with the word. That is your decision to make. It is not mine to compel. I am not one to indoctrinate. I am not here to proselytize. I just want to offer things up for your consideration. and how you engage with them is to be free, my friends. Be free in this space. I'm going to bring it up and then I'm going to read it. I'm going to pause for 7 seconds and just allow us to Selah, Selah, pause, and calmly think about what we have heard. And then we will go from there. So here are the words from Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 through 4 from the New International Version. And before I start reading, I'm going to have a drink of water. Having dry mouth, but just a drink of water, and then we'll get started. Keep on loving one another as brothers and sisters, or gender non-conforming, gender non-binary neighbors. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering. Marriage should be honored by all, and for God, adulterer, and all the sexually immoral. First of all, oh my, I don't know what's wrong with that. Doesn't usually happen. What is going on with me? My apologies. First of all, I think it's interesting that the first 3 verses, and I don't even know why I included verse 4. I guess so that I can have this conversation. But the first 3 verses are about calling us into relationship with people and meeting them where they are. Not only meeting them where they are, but being empathetic enough to say, I want right here with you. I want to feel what you feel. I want to experience what you experience. I want the emotions to run high in me, just as high as they are running with you. And so if you are in prison, I want to know what that's like. If you, whatever it is that your life is bringing you, I want to know what that's like. I want to journey with you in a very real and palpable way. Like that's what it says in verse 1 through 3. And it's like, yes, call us into Sawubona. Call us forth into the connectedness. Let's see how we relate one to another as we are going through. Even if your burdens are not mine, I take them on. Bear ye one another burden, one another's burden. The Bible within verse 4 is like, just let me tell you. When it comes to sex, I'm a judge. What is it about the great? I think arguably, because I have to hear your argument, arguably the best gift that God has ever given to us as humans is sex. The very best gift. I say this a lot well, I used to say it a lot to my lover. We broke up, but that sometimes there are just they're able to communicate effectively when they are critical. Sometimes they want to you can only be expressed, only be communicated, that can only be articulated with my. It's not necessarily about penetration. It's not about penile to vag. Like I'm getting into all of that. I'm just saying that that sex is an expression. It's communication. It is dialogue. It is information. It is wisdom. It is knowledge. It is what we need to help us move forward in our journey together. And so this secrecy, this shame stigma that surrounds it, it's all man-made and not at all God-made. Can't nobody change my mind about that. And so I just thought it interesting that they would put verse 4 right here. Like we're talking about what it means to come alongside somebody and to no. But when it comes to sex, let me just say, I just wanted to say about that. I am open, hearing, absolutely listening. conversation around them. And so here we have beginning of chapter 30, talking about this need to what it means to body this of other folks as a way of being present as God for them. That I want to make sure that I am responding to you the same way that I would expect you to respond to me. But according to the scripture, I'm doing so without knowing who you are. You are a stranger to me. Stranger to me suggests that I don't know you. I don't have a relationship with you. I don't know your mama now. That basically we're not African. Like we don't adhere to African tradition. When I was in Africa, and when I talk to people of African descent, most of the time, all of the time, after the initial hello, the next question is, how's your family? I want to know how you are. I want to know how your people are. I want to know how your children are. I want to know how your grandparents are. Like, I want to know what's going on in those of the people that you love. And therefore, when I ask about them, when I inquire about them, because I really want to know, I'm not talking about the American practice that we body, how are you doing? But we really hope that they don't tell us, right? We really hope they don't say child, because we like, oh, I really gotta go. Time for this. Like, I'm not talking about the American practice, but the African practices. I am giving myself over to the needs of your family. How are they? Want to, because that's going to help me get to know you better. It's going to help inform my next time I see you. If you told me that your mama was sick, the next time I see you, I want to know if she well. If you told me that your daughter was off, I want to know that she get home safely. And that begins the conversation. So we begin to build, the relationship builds through conversation, because every time I see you, I'm by the story before to ask you to move forward in that story, to give me a progression, an update on that story, so that together we are moving in community. And so in that case, in that regard, I really don't meet strangers. It's difficult to do because I am so interested in what's happening in your life in real time. And I'm not too pressed for time to sit and hear what you have to say. And so thinking about that as an African social practice, and then thinking about the fact that those of us who believe certain parts of the Bible, like the part of the Bible that says that this is the beginning of life, when we look back at Genesis, we say that and God made man, the setting of that would be on African soil. So if we believe that that is true, then this practice of getting to know each other, it's in our blood. This is the way that we interact with each other now. As I'm too busy for you, that's an American practice that we have bought into, that we have tried on and decided that it fits for us. And so we're not even staying doing that. And so this idea then that when I something people, I need to make sure that I am recognizing that this stranger may be an angel. And I'm like, I want to know, what do you mean by angel? Like, where is that? And so I was trying to look them up, because remember, I only know two. Like, I only know Michael and I only know Gabriel. And yes, they are both male, and yes, they are both, when you look at them, if you pull up a picture of them, especially in America, they're going to be white and male. And I'm like, I don't know what angels you're talking. What are you talking about? And that I drew with them, continuation, it's a perpetuation of the idea that our holiness, that to be sacred with each other, is something that is foreign to our bodies. And to say that this is an angel, this is someone who is not human, right? This is some spiritual being, some spiritual form that's far away from me, that shows up at just for such a time as this, in the nick of time. What is that song that we sing in old Black churches? He's an on time God. Yes, he is. I love that song. Whoa, on time God. Yes, he is. Joy. Can't remember all of it. He may not want him, but he's always right on time because he's an on-time guy. See? So this idea that these angels would appear, that they are not human, that they are not very present with us, that they are some faraway being that God uses in when we need them, in order to give us what we are searching for, we are hoping, what we are hoping for, what we are praying for. And so I just want to remember how I put it on the flyer. I think it's like, why don't you know? Something like that. Like the Bible is saying in Hebrews chapter 13 that you may be entertaining strangers unaware. And I'm like, but why don't you know that you are in the, why don't you know that person every single person that you engage with is a divine reflection, expression, manifestation of the God that we say that we serve. There's no such thing as I'm not sure who I am, that this person is this person is safe, this person is a godsend. The only reason that I don't want that I don't know is because I decided that the way to interpret this scripture is to say that you are some other being. You are something that God has blessed, that God has sanctified, that God has set apart to be different than, to be holier than, to be more sacred than. This idea that you are over here away from me and somehow higher, sometimes somehow more holy, somehow more high and lifted up than I am. And so I'm thinking it's a regular person, but really you're not. And so because of that, I am wondering, after fact, if you were even worthy of my time. Was that an angel? Was that an angel? Oh my God, an angel. Now I feel blessed. You didn't feel blessed when you didn't think I was an angel. You only felt blessed if you thought I was an angel. And the only reason you thought that you were feeling, the only reason you felt blessed is because the angel gave you something. Not because the angel just allowed you to be, not because the angel came alongside you and was just walking with you as your companion. Not because, no, you got to do something for me. You got to satisfy a need. You got to pay a bill. You got to do something that makes me feel like, yes, there was a purpose for you in my life. I got to get something out of it. I got to be able to grow from it in some way, in order for me to believe that you must have been sent by God as somebody bigger than, better than, holier than I, holier than thou. And I think that that is a misinterpretation of, not only do I think it's a misinterpretation of the human experience, but I think that it gives us an excuse not to view every single person in as holy, as sacred, in the way I believe that God has called us to. I believe that God, the God that I serve, because I know that everybody's not serving the same God, but the God that I serve is a communal God. The God that I serve says, I don't need you. I'm God. Why do I need people? Like, I don't need you. But I do believe, says God, that there is something amazing, something awesome, something holy, something sacred, something that we are not able words, and the happens to us when we are bound together by the Spirit. One of the other verses that was shouted out during the worship experience on Sunday was, where two or three are gathered. I added this. I thought it was in the Bible, but I just heard it somewhere and I just grabbed it and I started adding. Part that I added. Touching, these are brackets. Touching and agreeing on any, they're midst. And so when we think about only angels at certain times coming to give us something that we need so that we can feel like God must have heard our prayer, if we think about it that way, then we miss the holiness of the humans in our presence. We miss the power of the divine in our midst when we are with other people. We miss the whole opportunity, the whole chance, the whole the whole interaction that we could have on a much deeper level. If I am the angel, my sister is the angel, my brother is the angel, the homeless person is the angel, the disabled person is the angel, the same gender loving person is the angel, the black person is the angel, the person of trans experience is the angel, the child is toddler is the angel, the disfigured is the angel, the blind person is the angel. So there's no reason for you to say I'm entertaining people and I don't know. You every time you have an opportunity to engage, you engage knowing and understanding that I am in the very presence of. Look at this angel coming my way. What would the world look like if that was our stance, if that was our posture, that every single person look at God sending me this aid, even if all we're doing is talking. I tell it, look, I have conversation with everybody. I don't care. It don't matter who you are. I see you as God. I don't mind having a conversation with you. I believe that you can just be. Let's just be together. So I went to the DMV because I wanted to get that new license. Really, I needed to get my mom an ID card. But since I'm there and they're telling us we need this new license, like, why don't I just do both of us, like both of us at the same time? And so I realized after my mom and I left that she didn't give me my license. Did I leave my old license? Because I got a new license. Did I leave my old license? Where's my license? And so I'm looking for my license. I want to make sure. I don't want to be like my mama. My mama be slapped going off on folks because she can't remember. She can't remember what has happened. So in her mind, she thinks you haven't done something. She's like, you ain't do so and so. You ain't give me back to going straight left. And they be like, and she'll look at her purse and be like, I'm so sorry. I mean, her whole demeanor changes, and she's so in that. So I wanted to look through all of my things, all of my paperwork, all through my. Let me make sure before I go back up here and say, hey, where's my old license? So we left the DMV and we went to get our nails done, and then we stopped by KFC because my mama was like, it's time to eat. Where we going? Pot pie from KFC. She hadn't had it in quite some time. I was like, hey, it's right there. You want to get it? So we're in the line at the KFC. And I'm talking to my mom in the car about going back. I want to leave KFC and go back to get my license. She's trying to convince me to call them on the phone. I'm like trying to convince her that I don't think that's a good idea. What if I wait too late and then they shred it or something? Like, I want to go right now because I want to make sure that they don't, that they still have it and I can pick it up. And so when the woman, the person that I identify as a woman, when she comes to the window to give us our food, I'm like, do they keep your license? Can you keep your license? And so then she starts talking about, good, I don't trust the government. You better go get your license. What they gonna do with it? I'm like, yeah, what they gonna do? She's like, did you say you was gonna be an organ tissue donor? I was like, yeah. She's like, I don't do that. I was like, why you gonna do with the organs and the tissues when you dead? She was like, yeah, but they might kill me first. It was just a delightful exchange that I'm having with this woman who I believe is angelic. I believe this is God in my midst, that we can connect on the human, we can connect through the spirit of oneness because we are bound by our humanity and our experience. I want to know, is it like yours? I want to know, do you have any insight for me? I want to know, what is your spirit saying? I want to know how you are reacting. Like, tell me your story, because we are one in this place. Even though you are handing me my food, I'm gonna hand it to my mama. I still want to know what's going on with my license. What if? We were that open to ethnicity, whether or not you've got a partner or a spouse or I don't care. You are human and so am I. And so when I am entertaining you, in other words, when I am interacting with you, when I am in relationship with you, when I am in conversation with you, when I am in dialogue with you, I realize it's not lost on me. I'm not wondering if hoping that God will manifest. I'm not waiting to see if I can have some testimony at church. I am fully aware that every time that a human is in my presence, this is God. As I was saying that, I realized I probably shouldn't have said human. I probably should have said every time that creation is in my presence. And so that would include like everybody, right? Like nature and pet cats. Like I felt that in that moment, but I'm just gonna be on there yet. I'm not there yet. I honestly don't think a pet would be angel. I just don't. I was talking about a client that I had, and the client is homeless. And the client is homeless, but has a dog. And the dog got caught up in some mess. Really, the hotel was discriminating against her because she is a woman of trans experience. So really, that's what it was. So they called the police on her because of her dog, because she left the hotel and left the dog. And so they said that she neglected the dog. She did not, but that's what they said. And then they locked the dog in the room. So now if you say I'm neglecting the dog, why won't you let me get to the dog so that I can care for the dog? But they won't let her get to the dog. It really was awful. And so then they transported the dog to the pan, had to pay $180 in order to get the dog out of wherever they were holding the dog. But my client is homeless, remember? So my client does not have $180. And if she does have $180, she needs it like for food, for shelter, for clothing. Like she needs it for the bare necessities for her life. But my client decided to spend the $180 get from how I got it. Don't matter. I'm okay with sex work. I asked her if it was sex work, if she participated in sex work. But let me tell you why I asked her. I asked her because I wanted to affirm her in it so that I am okay. I understand. I believe that it is fine. Like, I want you to know that I am not judging you. Here is a space that you can bring the whole of who you are and what you are having to experience and what you are having to do to be human. Because some of us can't, we wake up as human, we are able to live in our midst. Those that you want to, they are strangers. They have to work at being human. They got to work at feeling it. They got to work at positioning themselves in front of folks who will honor their humanity. And so I wanted her to know, no. In this phase, whatever it is that is part of your experience, whoever you are worthy, you are valuable, you are honored, and you are celebrated. So if that's part of this conversation, it is okay. I receive. Let's talk about it. Let me see how I can help you. Do you want a different kind of occupation? Do you want another kind of employment? Because that's what I'm here for, to help you figure. I want to help you realize whatever your goals are that you have set for your life. Now, if this is the way you want to live, I have no problem with that. Let's figure out how to monetize it so that we can make it work for this program. So that was the main reason that I asked her that. But she decided to spend her $180 for 2 days, 2 or 3. I don't know. Yeah, I think you can get a motel or something for $60 a night. So if you can get one for $60 a night, that's 3 nights that she was not able to have shelter, a roof over her head, because she wanted to spend that money on her dog, because that's how important the dog was, the companionship, the comfort, the safety. And I was like, I'm not there. Babe, that dog, I don't know where that dog would be right now. Because if it's me or you, I'm choosing me. And so I feel like I should have said creation instead of just saying humans. I should have said creations, but I just want to, I just on it. But every time that we have an opportunity to engage with humanity, what would the world look like if I did not view you as stranger? If I did not wonder if you were angel, but I automatically declared you holy. I automatically declared you sacred. This is, as a matter of fact, what if we started taking off our shoes? You know, there's a when Moses is at the burning bush and he has this experience of the presence of God. Says, take your shoes off because you're standing on holy ground. What if every time I walked up to another person, I said, hold on. Let me slip. I have to worry about untying our shoes. We have to worry about taking off our red bottom heels. We wouldn't have to worry about not scruffing up our $200 shoes. What if we were just wearing slippers all the time so we could easily slide out of them and say, hey, I recognize that you are now present with me. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. That's the song we just got through singing Sunday. For the Lord is present, and where God is, it is holy. And here you are in front of me as God. This is holy ground. How can we be in relationship with each other to where I'm not wondering, I am embracing, I am honoring, I am celebrating? And so as I was thinking about that, I was continuing to think about this part of the book that I am reading, where I am. I think I'm on chapter 8 or something. I'm not really sure. I think I'm chapter 8. But Dr. Cleveland is in France, and she's visiting, and she is visiting the Black Madonna. She's trying to see as many as possible as she can in France, and she gets to this one. I think this one is Our Lady of the Fountain, and what there is a banner above her head that is a misinterpretation of the scripture. And so the banner over her head says this: Negra sum sed formosa. Did I say that right? I am Black, but beautiful. Right? It's an apologetic. I am Black, but how many of you have had the experience where you are with people who are non-Black and they'll say something Black girl? Have any of you had that? Or you are a person who lives in a thicker body. You thicker than for a big girl. Right? They qualify your beauty. You're not beauty. You're not pretty just because, right? You're only pretty because despite your blackness, despite your thickness, despite your baldness, like you got a pretty face. Has anybody ever told you that? And it makes you wonder, so like, what about the rest of me? Me. And so these are the words that are written above this Madonna to say, you are Black, but it's okay. We're gonna give you a pass because you're pretty. Well, then if that's the case, what would happen if I wasn't pretty? If I was Black, but I'm not pretty, then what? I don't get any passes. I don't get to be seen as angel. I don't get to be interactive with divine. But that's a misinterpretation. It's actually a misinterpretation of the scripture. I don't want to say it's a misinterpretation of it's a fiction. So this is what you decided based on your steeped in sexism. You are steeped in all of these systems of inhumanity that you decide to write about this woman, this divine from that space of your own perspective, where you are clouded by your own biases. And so you come up with this item. What the words really say, what the translation really posits for us, these words: Negra sum e formosa. I am Black and beautiful. I am Black and beautiful. I am human and divine. I am all of that. I don't need any qualifiers. I don't need anybody to try to dissect and see how much is this and how much. No, I am all of that. I am all of who God is. Everything you believe God to be, that's who I am. And so when I show up for you, if you receive me in that, question becomes, if I'm able to say that I cannot right now in this season now, I'm hoping for a new season, but all of who I have been and all of who I am in this moment, I can say to you that I am not able to see dogs as I remember Miss Norita was like, that dog is God spelled backwards. I'm like, I know it, but I can't receive it. I can't. I want to. I wish I could, because we street right next door. My mama love them dogs. And they love her. And she comes out and they start barking and they having a conversation and she talking to them and she goes over, she give them a treat. And it's amazing. Like, and sometimes I can tell that they talking to me, something like going out with her, then coming back in. If I go back out the house without her, I know they like, where she at? And I'll be like, I really do talk back to them. You don't tell me what to do in my life. You don't know what's going on with my mama. I ain't got to explain nothing. Then I say, do you hear yourself? So like, I can own the fact that there is a deficiency. I'm not able to receive the whole of creation as all. I can believe that God created them. I can believe that they have a purpose. I can believe that they give life. I can believe all of that. But I cannot. I cannot accept them as being just as important as I am as human. I just can't. But I'm able to say that out loud. I'm able to say, who are you unwilling or unable to see as fully divine in you? What human can you say, I see you, God? What human can you not look at and say, here is the very presence of an angel in my midst? Because angel really, if we get down to the nitty gritty and we ask what the angel is one who is a messenger. That's what they do. They come to deliver a message. And so it's not necessarily that the message is oh, God told me to tell you. Like, no, it's just because you were in my presence, you walked away with something. I don't know what it is. I ain't got to try to figure out what it is. I know it's something because I'm trusting the power of the Spirit at work through us, through our oneness that connects us. I'm trusting give your energy what it needs. I don't have to know. That's how, see, the Spirit is mysterious. We want to walk around here like we got all the answers, like we know what God is going to do. We can tell you what God is going to do. We can tell you how God going to act. We can tell you what God ain't going to do. You don't know. The psalmist says it's too high. The understanding of God is too high. I cannot attain it. I cannot figure it out. I cannot grasp it. I cannot fully understand it. I do not know what ought to do with it. I don't know. Give my move. And I'm willing to say that any opportunity that the has to send me some message through this person, I don't know. It might come out of their mouth. It might come out of the way they walk. It might come out of the way that they smell. It might come out of the way that the clothes that they are wearing. It might come out of the earring. I don't know. But I know that this angel has a message for me. Can teach me something if I would but give myself over to it. Be open. So I wonder what human you are unable to receive as divine in your midst. What human are you unable right now? If you could just be, because remember, this is virtual, right? All of this I'm offering up for your consideration. So you don't ever have to tell me or anybody else. You don't have to say it out loud. It doesn't even be as for me to put together. No, you to say it to yourself. I do think that you need to admit it, confess it, own it, be accountable to, even just in yourself, because the work of the Spirit, nobody else knowing. Who is that human? What do they look like? What are their characteristics? What is their body language? What is the tone of their voice that you just cannot believe? No way in the world could this be God. own. You might be like me. I'm sorry, but in this season, I did not move forward. I cannot take a step forward. I cannot. I am who I am right now. I think that's powerful to say too. I am who I am right now. I'm unable. I wonder though, could you take just one other step and say, but I am willing. I'm not able right now, but I am willing. And I want to open myself up because I don't know which one of these angels that I'm going to see tomorrow or Friday or Saturday or Sunday at the Razorback game, at church, at the grocery store, in the line at KFC, in the line at the liquor store. You know, you're at the liquor. Where else, y'all? We want to act like we don't go. Your line at the sex store. Is there a sex store? What is sex store at? I think it's one on is that Universal? I ain't been in them stores. I should go. Just so somebody can see me there. So I can say, yeah, I am holy and I'm in the sex store. Yes, I am holy and not the but, and I'm in the liquor store. Yes, I am holy and I'm wherever else you don't think I'm supposed to be. The casino, the strip club, wherever, everywhere I show up as holy. What is keeping you from saying that? Talk to yourself. With God moves you to that next. That's all I got for you tonight. Actually, thank you so much for joining us for the Good Fight. We'll be right back here on next Tuesday from 7 to 8 o'clock CDT, Central Daylight Time. Central Daylight Time? CST, Central Standard Time. Thank y'all so much. Bye now.